Ashton, what are your 5 games to watch of Week 12?
So we have it's an interesting week. I'm going to go with Michigan Illinois
Oh,
playoff implications. Baylor TCU again
hmm
playoff implications. We're going to go with Utah Oregon,
hmm
USC, UCLA, the uniforms. You have to
hmm
watch because of the uniforms. And then I think Tennessee South Carolina is number
Ooh.
5. Tennessee South Carolina is number 5. I think that one's going to be fun.
All right. We didn't even preview that one. Do you have any thoughts on that game?
Um I have a lock on that one. I
Okay.
think South Carolina shows up. It's a home game. Tennessee's not very good on the road. They have not played well on the road. I think South Carolina has some good pass rushers. I think Jordan Birch can get after the passer. Hendon Hooker struggles when he's pressured. I think South Carolina, you talk about teams getting it together for one game and playing a Super Bowl, like their own Super Bowl. Spencer Rattler, I think he's going to play really well. He has the ability to. I think he will this game. I think he's going to play really well. They're going to feed Marshawn Lloyd. I think South Carolina has good receivers and good tight ends. And I think they have a decent enough defense. I think they have athletes. South
hmm
Carolina and Tennessee, if you compared them walking off the bus, they don't look different. That's the same team. They recruit the same types of players. Tennessee has had a much better year, but South Carolina still has the athletes to go with them. I think this game, I think Williams-Brice's is a night game in South Carolina. That place is underrated as a nighttime venue. I think it'll be fun. I think it'll be close. Tennessee will win, but South Carolina will cover. You could even convince me to sprinkle a couple of bucks on the money line for South Carolina. Like I think it
Wow.
could be it could be really really fun. It's going to be a top 5 game to watch. I don't see it being a blowout.
Okay. So my 5, I'll just run through chronological order. I got TCU at Baylor. I've got Ole Miss at Arkansas. I think that's a fun matchup, even though it doesn't have huge stakes. I got Bedlam, Oklahoma State at Oklahoma. Again, no stakes. I just think it's a fun rivalry, and it's going away soon. So enjoy it while we have
Yes,
it.
true.
I got USC at UCLA. USC obviously needs that game, big time
Yep.
for them. And I have
Yep.
Utah at Oregon. Disappointing, like we mentioned, that it doesn't mean more, but
Right.
it's still a fun matchup, still a clash of styles in some ways, and yeah, it's a ranked on ranked matchup. So we'll go with that one for number 5. Okay, well, you already kind of got us started on the locks. Is you said South Carolina? That's one of your locks. You want to just any final thoughts? Add anything to what you already said on that one?
The number's at 21 and a half.
I got your
Like Tennessee,
22, by the way.
even better. Even better. Right over that 3 touchdown mark that we like so much, right? So you're taking care of that
Right.
that 3 touchdowns. I think it stays close. I think you saw something on the road when Tennessee went on the road to Georgia. The atmosphere in South Carolina is going to be very similar. There's a possibility that it rains. We know Tennessee, like that's going to affect them more than South Carolina. I think South Carolina runs the ball. Yeah, I mean, kind of everything I said. I think they run the ball. Rattler takes some shots. I think he hits them. I think he plays really well. Yeah, when you have a quarterback with that much talent, you always have to be a little worried that he comes out and plays just the game of his life because he has the capability to beat you. He really does. Like Rattler, he has that elite ceiling that he can go to. He doesn't go there much, almost never, but he can do it. So I like what Beamer's doing. I think South Carolina cuts it loose a little bit on offense, and they don't have to win. I think they keep this one really close. That's one of my locks for sure. 22 is a great number.
I'm so glad you're there because I'm fighting you.
Let's
This is
go.
a lock
Let's go.
fight. I'm on
Okay.
Tennessee. I got them at minus 21 and a half. I think that okay, so last week Tennessee put up 66 points in Mizzou.
Yep.
Mizzou's defense is better than South Carolina's. I'm just saying.
They are. I
um
agree.
and I think Tennessee is in full blown let's make our resume look as nice as possible so we can still make the playoff, even though we're not going to the SEC championship game mode.
Right.
I
Right.
think that's what Tennessee's doing. They're not going to sit on a 2 touchdown lead. They're going to put up as many points as they possibly can. And I combine that with the thought that this is not a very original take by me,
Hmm.
but I do stand by it. South Carolina sucks.
Okay.
So That all adds up. I'm taking Tennessee minus 21.5. So I'm glad we
Okay.
have a lock fight.
There we go. We've actually had a lot. We started off the year, had almost none. And
Yeah.
then we've had a lot of them recently. I will say, for the better out there, I'm doing much better in those
Yeah, you are.
than Vince is. So
This
this is
just
good
means I
news.
can catch up.
That's right. Good news for South Carolina fans is that
Yeah.
I'm actually on your side. But no, I feel pretty good about this one. I really do.
All right.
They're coming off a bad loss. South Carolina's coming off a bad loss to Florida. You get to come home. Beamer has those guys ready to play. There will be a lot of energy there. If they can keep that game close until halftime, like that, it's going to have its own energy. We'll say that. That's going to be a happening place around halftime. I think it'll be fun.
Yeah. Okay. What else do you got?
Like I said earlier, I had the TCU. I have TCU covering, was it 2.5?
Yes.
Against Baylor. Again, love the number, just under the field goal there. You're going to win. You're going to cover on the road at McLean Stadium in Waco. Yeah, TCU, they're underrated. They're undervalued just as by Vegas. They're 8-1-1 against the spread this year. 8-1-1 against the spread in 10 games. That's incredible. You should just pretty much bet on TCU every time until Vegas just starts making numbers way too big. 3, it should be more like 10 for me. Like I think 10 is a more appropriate number than 3. Yeah, I really like where TCU's at right now. They have everything to play for. Baylor does not. So yeah, I like Max Duggan and the guys to get it done.
Yeah, so we have one lock fight. This is one where we are agreeing. We have lock agreement on this one. I don't know if I'd go 10, but I think I would probably set this line at like 7.5, like just over a touchdown. It's 2.5. I'm not sure why. Maybe Vegas knows something. And I said before that this feels like a relatively decent size chance of an upset. That being said, the line is 2.5, and I think TCU has like a 70 to 80% chance of winning this game. Right. And yeah, I just feel like most likely they're going to win this game by at least a field goal. I just trust them a lot more. I mean, at what point do you just start saying that you trust a team because they just keep doing it over and over and over again?
And I think there's something too that when Vegas doesn't, when you get this late in the season and they're continuing to be wrong week after week after week on a certain team, like and the line doesn't reflect it. Like they're not. Sometimes you'll see Vegas make a big shift to where we misvalued this team. We're gonna make sure you're not gonna make any money on them next week. They're not with TCU. They're continuing to give these low ball lines like they did last week against Texas. TCU is just a better football team than Texas, and Texas was favored by 7. Like that made no sense to me. So yeah, and this line again, just suspiciously low. I like TCU. I just think they're undervalued. I will say our lock agreements have not done very well this year. So maybe this is actually bad news for TCU.
I'm so sorry, TCU. Like I really like you and I want you to do well, and here I am giving you a kiss of death.
It's an 11 a.m. local kick, which is actually a good thing. You'd rather not play them at night if possible. So yeah, I mean it is on the road, but at least it's like 11 a.m. Yeah.
Is that all you have on your card?
I only have 2. Yeah, you know me. I'm disciplined. Right. I disciplined Ashton. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to fight against that, see if I can talk you into a few more here.
Okay. All right.
So I got Michigan State minus 10.5 against Indiana. I just don't think Indiana is very good, and it pains me to say that. They're one of my teams. I think Tom Allen, he's on the hot seat pretty hardcore. USF needs a coach. He came to Indiana from USF. He was their defensive coordinator. Came over to Indiana as their defensive coordinator before taking the head coaching job. I think maybe he would be better fit at USF than Indiana at this point. Indiana's just not very good. I know they played Ohio State last week, and that's not very fair to compare them in that type of matchup. It's just bad. Nothing is working. Their offense is terrible. Their defense is terrible. There's just nothing good about them. I'm not even saying Michigan State is very good, but I feel like they're starting to come along a little bit better. I feel like they win this game with 2 touchdowns. Did I talk you into it?
No.
All right. No. Okay. Let's try this one. Penn State minus 19.5 against Rutgers. I'm taking Penn State. Penn State is playing well. They're clearly the number 3 team in the Big Ten. Rutgers is. I know it's Rutgers. Like, you have to be careful what kind of expectations you have for Rutgers. But even so, like, I feel like they've been a little disappointing this year.
Mhm.
They're just not playing very well as of late. Penn State, they just beat, was it Maryland? They beat 31-0 this last weekend.
They beat
Is that
Maryland
right?
30 to nothing. Yeah.
30-0. And
Yeah.
I'm telling you, Maryland is better than Rutgers.
Yeah, I agree.
Penn State will
I
win
agree.
this game by 3 touchdowns or more. Did
Okay.
I convince you on that one?
Closer.
Okay.
Yeah, I try to stay away from like a good home dog. So I hate going there. So yeah, just I'm fine.
All right, I got another one for you. I just mentioned Maryland losing by 30 points to Penn State. Ohio State is playing Maryland this week, and they are favored by
Mhm.
27.5.
Yeah.
I like that it's right underneath that 4 touchdown mark. I'm taking Ohio State to cover. Their offense finally woke
Ooh.
up last week against Indiana.
Uh-huh.
Maryland, similar to what I just said about Rutgers, they're a little better than Rutgers, but again, kind of disappointing.
Yeah.
Not like horrifically disappointing this year, but just a
Right.
little bit disappointing compared to what you thought
Yeah.
they might be. And I think Ohio State is going to stop them.
Maryland has historically played close games against Ohio State. Like they've been able to kind of keep some games close. 2 years ago, I think they should have actually beaten them outright, and it was like a fourth down conversion
Yeah.
that they or no a 2 point conversion that they missed. No, spare me with this one. I again just trying to stay disciplined here. I like what I like, and I don't like very much.
All
So,
right.
yeah, we're just keeping the bets small.
All right, I got two more for you.
Okay, all right.
The first one is your team. It's Georgia. They're favored by
No,
22
no,
and a half
nope,
against
nope,
Kentucky.
nope, nope,
I
nope, nope.
understand why you wouldn't because it's your team. That being
Never.
said, for anybody else out there, like this is absolutely the side to be on. Georgia is the best team in the country.
Yeah.
Kentucky is, yeah, they're not very good. Georgia can, like Ashton said, like they just played Mississippi State, played their C plus game and destroyed them.
Yeah.
And I think they
Yeah.
can play
Yeah.
their C plus game against Kentucky and still destroy them. So I'm taking Georgia to cover. I don't love that it's just over 3 touchdowns, but I still feel like that shouldn't be that difficult.
No. Again, I go nowhere near my own team betting. Just way
Smart.
too much emotion. Way too much emotion. Clouded judgment there. Yeah.
I actually miscounted. I still have two more.
Okay.
Speaking of your own teams, I am betting against Notre Dame this week. They are a
Oh wow.
21-point favorite against Boston College. Most of the lines out there are 20.5, but there is also a 21 out there. Let me just read something to you here.
Mm.
Notre Dame this year. Let me find it here. As an underdog or a favorite of a touchdown or less, Notre Dame is 5-0, 4-1 straight up. So those games
Okay.
are Ohio State, they were plus 17 and they covered. North
Yep.
Carolina, they were plus 3. They were an underdog against North Carolina and they won
Mm-hmm.
easily.
Mm-hmm.
They were favored
Mm-hmm.
by 3.5 against BYU. They won easily. They were a pick 'em against Syracuse. They won easily. They were an underdog against Clemson and they won easily. When Notre Dame is a favorite of a touchdown or more, they are 0-5 against the spread this year. They were a 20.5 point favorite against Marshall, 13.5 against Cal, 16.5 against Stanford, 26 against UNLV, 17 against Navy. They lost two of those games outright, and the other three they did not cover. This falls neatly into that second stack. They are a 3 touchdown favorite against Boston College. There's a very real chance they're up by 3 touchdowns, and then the offense goes into full turtle mode and lets Boston College back in it. I fully expect that to happen. I don't normally bet on Notre Dame games. I'm just saying, like, I feel like I sort of have a grasp on what they've been doing this year, finally. And yeah, this line is too big.
Do you guys
Even
have
though
good corners? Do you have good cornerbacks?
we do have good cornerbacks.
Okay.
Or kinda. We have two. We have maybe the best freshman corner in the country.
Yeah, you've
And
talked
then
about him.
yeah, and then Cam Hart is very solid at the other side. So
Okay.
pretty good.
Because
corners.
Zay Flowers, the receiver
good.
for Boston College, can go, man. That guy,
Yeah.
yeah. Like if there was a matchup, like I would, yeah, that's one that they're gonna
Yeah.
try to exploit. And they kind of just force feed him the ball too. It's kind of like
Right.
Mayer is for you guys, where like this guy has almost 70 receptions, almost 1,000 yards, 10 touchdowns. They just like throw the ball to him all the time. So
Sure.
yeah, I again staying away from it, disciplined.
All right. One last final pick. I have Kansas plus 9.5 against Texas. Kansas beats Texas when they suck, and Kansas is actually pretty solid this year.
Yeah.
Texas, like they've sort of fallen out of what things they have to play for this year. Like they're going bowling, but they're not going to the Big 12 championship game almost certainly. I guess there's maybe like an outside shot. I don't know if they're officially eliminated, but they're essentially eliminated. Kansas, like it's Texas. This is basically their Super Bowl.
Yes.
Nine and a half is too much. Might as well be a pick 'em. I'm just taking it. Taking the points.
I like that. Yeah, nine. That's a huge number at home, by the way, for Kansas. You mentioned their Super Bowl. Texas doesn't care, man. Texas is 6-4. They don't care about Kansas.
Yep.
And Kansas has Kansas cares so much about beating Texas.
Yes.
So I like that. I like that a lot. Again, no. I'm saying no to all
Okay.
these. Just staying disciplined. Just trying to find value where I can, and just trying to finish out the year with a winning record is the goal.
Sure thing.